Okay, so 7:29 on the 29th. And yeah, that was my deadline. I was looking at TikToks and I was like, okay, it's 7:29. I'm stopping and I'm just gonna go start recording because you can just get hooked on just watching stuff. And mostly you're just flicking from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I don't know. Everything just seems I don't know, man. I could not sleep at all last night. It was just like that same thing when the energy is just cranked up or something. And I was so uncomfortable. And then all the dogs were crowding me so much. And I was still up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I kind of had like a mini meltdown. It's like, I feel bad when I start yelling because the dogs are always like, oh. And I was like, I know you guys are just going to get up in a little while and I'm not going to have any sleep. Of course. But it wasn't until, I think it was almost 7. I think. What time is it now? 7 to no, it must have been 6. Yeah, it must have been 6. Because I know I've been up longer than a half hour. Certainly, I've been up longer than a half hour. So yeah, it must have been an hour and a half. So I don't feel, I feel shitty because I haven't had any fucking sleep. And it's something with my stomach too. So, on this whatever sickness, so still is coughing, like it's real hot in my chest. It feels super hot. And then when I cough, it is like so, man, it's a lot of movement in there. And my nose now, where it used to be clear and dripping, now it's gone into dark yellow mode. So I know it's gone into like infection. And then it's not to green though. I'm not blowing out green yet. So hopefully it's gonna get better before it gets to that point. And and then before, when I got sick, before I moved, when I was coming to see when I was dog sitting, and I got the stomach flu, I was thinking, I think that jacked my stomach up that whole time. I think I kept having stomach problems that whole time because I've been having so many problems. And then I'm like, I could just reject food. And it's like, fuck, what can I eat, man? Everything, it causes me some kind of issue. And so then it seems like that's come back again, like the stomach flu part. So I don't know, man. These fucking sicknesses, they just hammer us. Just fucking hammer us and hammer us with this shit. And it's just is exhausting. This whole thing is so exhausting. Man, it's so weird, when you think like of yourself considering, do I want to go down and go through this? I swear to God. It's like, the thing is we don't know what it's going to be like until we're there in it, And then it's like, fuck, this is a lot worse than I thought it was going to be, I think. It's like, God dang, man. This is draining. Especially just like, I don't know, it's just everything. It's like just the energy and stuff, like when I was looking at videos this morning. Well, I was up in the middle of the night looking at videos too. And I wasn't seeing anything about the Schumann, but I was like, there's got to be some intensity going on when I'm laying there trying to sleep, and it just is like, it's like, I don't know, like you're standing in front of a marching band trying to sleep. And so it's just so intense and so uncomfortable. And then but I wasn't seeing anything about the Schumann. I was seeing lots of bullshit. And which some of this stuff, on the Thanksgiving thing, I haven't seen any giant I mean, there's all sorts of little dramas and stuff, but I did see quite a few people who did a big thing, big preparation, did all this cooking, invited all these people, and then nobody came. And they were crying, and it's like, I don't know. It's just, everybody's stuff that they're here to go through is all different. But, I don't know. I don't know. Why would you tell somebody that you were going to come to their house for Thanksgiving, and then they go and make all that food, and then you not show up. It's like such a passive aggressive kind of thing. Like, what is wrong with people? Why can't you just be honest and say, hey, you know, I'm not up for it. I don't feel like going anywhere. I don't, you know. It's like, what is wrong with people? Especially when somebody goes and these people go and buy all this food, spend all day cooking it, and nobody fucking shows up. It's just like, you know, I'm thinking, well, you know, that would be the perfect opportunity to take some food down to some homeless, do something nice. You know, my dogs enjoyed Thanksgiving. Like, I don't need to cook it for anybody. I got them to cook for, and they enjoyed the shit out of that stuff. But but I don't know. I mean, everybody's got their own journey, but you know, and a lot of people have to go through this crisis of, you know, people not being there for you and this disconnecting. It's like we're disconnecting out of our more toxic, negative timelines, though. It's like the people who don't consider you aren't considerate, and it's kind of like recognizing who's not considerate, you know. And sometimes, you know, you have to just, I'm not on this big, you know, just cut people out of your lives, but don't, you know, don't make them your priority. Don't sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm going to invite them again. Just be like, no, they're a no-shower. It's like, no, you know, I'm not going to. So anyways, I wanted to do the hair thing because it's Saturday, and I was looking and I was like, I don't know, it doesn't, even waiting a week, it's like, that's not that dramatic of, you know, there's just little hairs. I definitely, though, do feel like I'm having less falling out, even though, and I just got another biotin that, now my fingernail's broken. It's like split down the thing. Now it's gonna drive me crazy while I'm talking. What was I gonna say? So there's less falling out, which could be from that pumpkin seed oil stuff, but I don't, oh yeah, because I got a new biotin, and it's like, man, for all this biotin and stuff, you'd think it would be growing a lot, and that my eyelashes and my nails aren't going out, like, growing long. I can always tell when I've got a good amount of biotin because my nails will start growing, and they keep on busting. So I know I'm deficient in that. And then on this iron thing, I keep on, because the iron does stain white, but I keep on trying to look and be like, I swear there is more color going in there. So anyways, we'll watch and see if this is just staining from the iron or if it is actually going into my body and coming out through my hair, adding in minerals into my body. So and last night I was looking at my tooth and the thing, and I was like, oh my God, it looks like there's a big black hole again. So I don't know, maybe it could have been something in the way. I see, it looks like it's not hurting or anything. I don't know. I don't know. I know what I do know is that when your tooth breaks, it doesn't grow back quickly. I mean, I guess, you know, everybody's grows different, just like everybody's hairs grow different and everything. But definitely my body is not like grow it back real quick. So slow as shit. And so I don't know. I just don't. There's so many things. It's just like, I don't give a fuck. Just wore the fuck out. But another thing I had seen is a lot of these videos of, I don't know, it's like, I guess it's like people noticing more depth into their relationships and noticing really, you know, like the nuances of some of the people who they interact with and people who they think are their friends. And then come to find out, no, they're just jealous, petty people who are trying to, you know, be on the sidelines and knock me down. And this one, and there seems to be a lot of this lately. I keep hearing these videos of this kind of stuff. So, you know, the 80s sickness that is, you know, that the fraud meister brought in for us. And then they recirculated again this round. That back in the 80s when it was going, it was very tracked, for one thing. Was it? But I got tested a few times. I keep thinking maybe something's in there. Yeah, I don't remember having to go through. Well, mine wasn't positive, so maybe that's why. Maybe when it's positive, then you have to give every single person's name that you've ever, and then they got to go back and track it and find where it came from and who has it, and testing all these people. And that was even in a movie I watched recently about back then. But now I don't know that they're doing that. Because back then, another thing too was that it was a crime. Like if you went and slept with somebody, it was a crime. And there was, like, back then, I don't think that, like, if you were disclosing and you told somebody, I mean, I know in certain groups, like, there was definitely at some point in the gay population, there was guys that were, you know, that, but there was mostly, for a long time, it was like, people didn't want to touch them. People didn't want to be near them. People didn't know how it spread. People, like, were freaked. They thought, like, it could just rub off of that person and get on you. And people were really freaked out about it. And, but they did a lot of propaganda building that scenario. And so but it was, if you did go and sleep and pass out, that was attempted murder. And it was, I don't know, it wasn't in court, but I remember there being stuff about people being charged, but maybe it was more propaganda. I don't know, but nowadays, like, it's like, I can't even believe how many people are out there passing it on purpose. And there's some people, I guess, apparently, who don't take it serious. They're like, oh, well, there's medicine, who cares? What the fuck? Man, our society has gone dark. Fuck, dude. God, the lack of fucking compassion or caring, so self-indulgent. But yeah, so it was a crime. And now you got people, like this girl was just telling this story. So she had a girl who she thought was her best friend. And there was some things where she was like, I don't know about this girl. And, but you have to go through and watch all her videos as she explains all this stuff. Because she's talking about jealousy and what people will do and stuff. But the story I heard this morning was that, so there was a guy who she was interested in, or was interested in her. So this guy was interested in her. He was showing interest and, like, messaging her and stuff. And so she had told her best friend, you know, this fella has interest in me. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm kind of interested back. And, you know, like, girl, you know, like how you do confiding your friends when you're talking about that stuff. And then, so 2 days later, this girl goes and gets this guy. The best friend has disclosed at this point to the girl telling the story that she's got it. She's contracted it. And she was promiscuous, apparently, and she contracted it, and now she's carrier. And so she, and her best friend didn't know for a long time. But she said, you know, well, I wasn't having sex with her, but I need to know. But then eventually she told her for some reason. And so this girl knew what the situation was. But she wasn't judgmental of her or whatever. And so anyway, she was talking about this guy that she liked and who was showing interest in her. And so within 2 days, this girl goes, gets this guy, sleeps with him, and then tells him, don't tell this girl's name, whatever it was, like Ninya or something. Don't tell her. And so he was like, well, that's kind of weird. Why am I not supposed to tell her? And so he was telling somebody else who that seems like they're kind of like not just a close-knit circle, but kind of a, like this person knows this person knows this person, kind of a network, which, that's your transits. And then, so she says that he confides in this other friend of theirs that this girl who he had slept with said, don't tell what's her name. And so he was like, why would she do that? Why would she say that? And so he doesn't know that, he's in the dark. And so this other lady who he had confided in goes and tells the girl what has occurred. And that's how she found out that this girl had gone and slept with him on purpose to get him sick, but to get her sick through getting him sick. They're not friends anymore, but it's just like, oh my God, man, what? And I know things go deeper back into past lives and entanglements and stuff like that, but we have a choice every day. We have a choice of how we maneuver through the tangled web of life and how we handle things, and what we break free from, what we break clear from. Or do we continue these games and playing this stuff? And so anyways, there's people who are that like underhanded, and then to be passing something like that around. But anyways, it was a crime before. I don't understand how there's all these people doing it nowadays, and it's just like willy-nilly, who cares? And I saw this video of this lady, and she is one of those she does spiritual videos or something, which I saw Harry. I don't know how many people even know who Harry is. He's somebody who's on TikTok. I think he's on YouTube. I don't know what all platforms he's on. But he was somebody who was talking a lot about disclosure through the letter. And he would break down a lot of stuff of the, like, posts and stuff. Like at the 17-second mark, this happened, and this what means this, and this, like, there's a lot of those people if you follow along that thing. And so he was one of those people. And yesterday I was like scrolling on, and I stopped following him because he just kept going on. He wasn't just sitting there saying Tom's Hank, he's a great guy, and Oprah, she's great, she's in on it, she's flipping the script on these certain people. And which back when the whole premise behind the letter was, question things, look deeper, look at this, look at that. So when you're questioning things and you're looking deeper into it, and you find out certain things about some of these people, then now he's trying to say, oh no, that was all fake. No, that was you're so stupid you fell for that. In the way he's so smug and condescending about it. And I was just like, I can't follow him anymore. But somehow he was on my feed yesterday while he was live. And I just happened to cross his path as he was talking about spiritual people and how ridiculous they are. I was like, dude, what do you think is fucking going on in this world? I couldn't even I was like, but yeah. That's why I quit following Nino too, because one of the days when I was listening to him and he started going off on spiritual people, and it was like, what in the world do these people think is going on in this world? It's like, You need to start thinking about life through your spiritual and not through the three-dimensional, not through this game. Like, you're caught up in something that's not real. You need to start, accessing what is real, and what is real is your spirit. What is real is that world. That is your real world. This is not. And for these people that just like, and then especially when they start going off on God and devil and angels and all this, it's like, what in the absurd bullshit are you talking about, man? So anyways, I don't know. But so anyways, I saw him yesterday saying that, and I was like, oh no, you are, so then, but so this girl in the spiritual community is all different levels. Like, it's, because a lot of them are very anti-Donald, and they don't see things clear at all. They're lost. And, lots of the spiritual people, they jumped on to a trend. They didn't know really how to access the spiritual and really know what they're doing. They weren't really putting in effort to try and learn. They just wanted to go directly into teachers because they've still got a lot of ego work to do. So they weren't going to go in to be learners and try and understand more about their spirit or spiritual world out there or anything. And so we have people who are out there on all different levels in their spiritual knowledge, and so there's tons, apparently, because there's people talking about there's tons of spiritual people out there who are losing it right now. They're falling apart because they didn't do the work. They didn't access it in a way that would have benefited them. They went straight into, I don't know, they all jumped on board to be healers and coaches. They woke up, they're chosen, they're the star seeds and all that stuff. Which I did hear somebody yesterday talking about the starseed thing and stuff. And I said this years ago. But anyways, when I heard him say it, I was like, see, that's what I think too. Is that that people who are more awake than other people, that there is a grid system set up here on the planet, that the people are where they're supposed to be at all times. But it isn't like they don't have all of these people grouped together at this point. They are everywhere because it has to spread through like the buoys of energy in order to access all the other people. So, so that all the people who are awake aren't just in one place, in a group, that they are spread out evenly all over the place, because then the energy is connecting between the people, which forms a grid across everything and everyone, in which creates an energetic source of energy that comes in and gets other people to wake up. And so it is, I think it's more like that. And he was saying that. And I was saying that like years ago. So, way back in my videos from that to see. But anyways, I saw this guy saying that, and I was like, I think the same thing. And so it isn't just like all these people together that are the more awakened people, which a lot of people call them, chosen or star seeds or whatever. But it's a role. It's a role that you came into play. So it's not accidental or something. It's, what you came here to experience is what you came here. And there is a huge experience to it. Like, when you are considered to be crazy by everybody, it's a big experience. And so, and you have to push through it. You have to build your confidence and push past that. You have to communicate with something outside of you in order to find, to balance out that, like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Everybody else is seeing something different than what I'm seeing. And so, you have to push past that. So it's, it's lessons. It's a part of a journey. It's not just like, you know, these people came to save the world or something. No, it's what they came here to learn and to grow through. And so, anyways, but the people who came into that access point of being able to see things more clearly than the other people, then that is that they are not all just in the same town. They aren't all, at some point, people are going to start coming together, and they could be slowly, but there is a point of having spread out like evenly all over the place, so that the energy spreads like a blanket over everybody. So I do think that's true. And but so you have all these people who they got caught up in, you know, thinking that they were more awake than other people, but they didn't really understand what the awakening is all about, what is going on here and stuff. And they get really stuck on certain things. You know, a lot of it has to do with the government and the lies that we've been being told and all of that stuff. But that's all just part of it. It's bigger than that, because what we're doing is breaking free. We're to me, it is like we're in this virtual reality game, and then we're very positioned, we're very deep in it. Like we think like this is real, and then it is, but it's like, because it started when I was a kid, is seeing things that be like, wait a minute, you know, just like the sun. I mean, the moon being out in the daytime. That was a big one to me when I was a kid. I was like, wait a minute, why is the moon? I even was asking other kids, like, why do you think the moon is out? How can the moon be out? And so many people would just shrug it off, like, yeah, I don't know. What about, let's go ride our bikes, you know? But to me, I was questioning things. Just like, you know, when I would be looking and I would see, like, there's bugs in our eyes. And I would tell people, and then there's all less floaters. And it's like, no, there's bugs in our eyes. Well, now there's fucking all sorts of fucking videos where I'm seeing it. There's all sorts of fucking worms. Oh, I can't even stand it. I can't. So yeah, there's fucking worms and fucking eyeballs. And so which is so freaky. But just think about, like, I mean, we got worms all over, and we got bugs all over, and stuff. That whole thing with bacteria and stuff. That's the whole fucking thing. Is all these bugs, man. So, and then we got these, you know, these people who are the ancient ones, like the vamps and all these ones that create an introduction of this stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if they're bringing out some old ancient bugs, you know. And anyways, that's part of the battle in this game. But to me, in the game, is you have things that start getting you to, like, question things through your life, like, you know, wait a minute, how could that be? Wait a minute. It's like, another thing to me was like, why don't we feel the earth spinning? Why is it that we don't, like, there was something with the upside down thing. Why don't we ever feel like we're upside down? Why, like, there was a lot of stuff. How's the water stay on? Why is the water on? And then, you know, they got their storylines to cover it. Well, you know, gravity. Even when I hear people talk about space and gravity and stuff, I'm just like, this is bullshit. And so, anyways, but we have things happen throughout our life to get us to question things. And then, and it's like it's sped up, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because this was always, this isn't happening accidentally. We came here for this. This was always going to happen. Is this changing? Is the ending of this scenario and the beginning of something new. And so it was always going to stop. And so, and there's so much corruption and interlink, you know, there's so much. And so then as you, like, awaken, But it's just as weird because it's so complex and convoluted, because it has so much to do with your spirit and what is your spirit capable of. And the, because the whole access point of like your chakra system and your code system, your coding and stuff. And so you, in what you have to process through in order to be able to move through your chakra system, be able to access yourself, to be able to move through the truth, like the truth of you. And they want to keep you in limitation. They want to keep you thinking that you're small and keep you in labels and keep you thinking that this is real and stuff. And so many people have bought into that. And so when they start finding out, like, the corruption, then they just focus on it, when really they need to be focusing on themselves. And so we have lots of people who are focused on what's going on in the world rather than what's going on inside of them. And then that's the important part, that's why it's the spiritual thing, because you need to be working on you, this world. And then you've got people like Nino who is sitting there saying spiritual stuff is stupid, and then just focus on what's going on in the world. Focus on what's going on in the world. Focus on what's going on in the world. That's misleading, And but that, it all depends on who and what you follow. That's that's a part of your journey, is discovering, and that when you look at who and what you follow, that should give you some kind of an idea of where you're stuck. Why am I buying into this? Why am I so stuck on that? Why am I following this so much? And so, but the lies in the government and stuff is definitely, a huge trap on a lot of people. They just stay focused on that, but that is not going to do you one motherfucking bit of good. It's just going to keep you trapped. You have to move through and move into, how are the things, how are you affected, and how does it benefit you to recognize different things, to move through your chakra system, to move through your healing, because that is what you're here to do. And that's the thing. Even like Harry sitting there saying, oh, the spiritual stuff's so stupid. Okay, I was thinking that you're some kind of psyop person, somebody who's here to mislead us. Once you start saying Tom was a good guy and he's alive and he's there and there and Oprah's a good guy and Ellen's great and all that stuff, I was like, okay, but then when you're misleading people like spirituality's stupid, well, that's weird, because you're a spiritual being in a fucking monkey suit pretending to be something you're not. And so when you are discounting what you are at your core, what you are really is a spirit. So in the context of what we believe of a spirit, because you're a ball of light, you're an energy, you're an orb. You're an orb full of color and movement, just like when we look up at the stars, which there was a bunch of stars last night. And when you look up at the stars and you see the colors moving around, that's an energy. It's like, and who knows if it's just one being or if it is a group of beings, but that is, that's what we are. That's what we are, is an energy. And all of the color and stuff, that has to do with your vibration. And so but that is, what you need to be working on. You need to be recognizing. And these people who want to discount this whole thing about spirituality and then keep you trapped in this concept of, there's somebody over you making decisions for you, and that they, it's just it's so misleading. Is the thing about, the decisions are all made, destiny is set, but you came in for the ride, and so your spirit signed up for this ride, and it's got a flight plan. It's already got a set destination, and that is that is like your flight plan. That is your destined events. That's your transits. That's, everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. You can't stop the inevitable. That's the way it's going to play out. And, to me, it's a big thing about like trying to understand, what did I come here for? What am I getting out of this? What am I supposed to be doing with all this? And then when you start recognizing, that you have lessons, there's things that you learn and you overcome throughout all of this. And people who come into your transits, people who come into your orbit are there to bring some kind of a spark, some kind of information or something to get you to acknowledge, because that is where you can find parts of yourself that have been lost and you are trying to put yourself back together again. And so they have value, they're valuable to you. And but they get people so caught up in all of the dramas that are going on that they just discount what's the main purpose, what you really need to be focused on, what you really need to be doing. And you have all these people that are just so caught up in all of the nonsense and wasting valuable time, really, if you ask me. But, they can't. It's weird because it's like programmed into you because you're here to experience a certain thing. And, man, this is hard to, because it's like you're here to experience a certain thing. And it's programmed into you. And then you come into the experience, and then you have a higher self, so a more advanced part of yourself that is in observation, in communication with you as you enter into the experience. So it's just like a part of you going into an experience. It's not the whole you. So a part of you goes into an experience, just like, I don't know how, because like if you're sitting there thinking about something and you're putting yourself in that situation, it's not your whole self isn't there. There's a part of you that you are experiencing this situation by observing yourself. And so you go into the situation, you have this part of you that's observing yourself, and what they're observing is how you maneuver and how you affect people, because you learn from all of that stuff. So how you affect people, the choices you make, how you do this and how you do that is a part of the learning. So it's like the stuff is said, but you are, because this is where it gets like sticky, because it's like you would think like, well, what would be the point of going in if it's already set? Why would I watch myself? But it is the actual being in it is a part where you learn and grow, because you see yourself and you witness yourself, and but it's more deeper than that, because you see yourself but you feel yourself. So it is it's like a deeper kind of way of knowing yourself. And so and then you have this opportunity to see how you affect other people and stuff. And so but there is like lessons that come your way that you overlook, that you don't go in and you don't learn all of this stuff. And so then that's another thing that your higher self witnesses about itself, is that what is the distraction? What keeps it from being able to learn this? Why is it stuck? Why doesn't it go? Why can't I go through this and see it clearly? What is the creating the this what is that, like something, an interference in how I see things? And so and to me, kind of, in order to find more clarity is to find more peace and to find more time to yourself, where you spend more time talking to yourself, trying to have more clarity over yourself, then you will, that's beneficial. Even when, I remember even when we were kids and stuff, and they said, that's crazy if you talk to yourself. No, but it's beneficial. They don't want you to talk to yourself. They want you to always feel crazy. They want you to be disconnected from yourself. They don't want you to connect and grow, because what's going to happen is all of these people, all these beings that are been distracted, who stay in their anger, their bitterness, their hatefulness, their fear, their judgment, all of those things are trappings, and they're going to remain trapped in the energetic field that they are in until they can process through those types of energies. So it keeps them trapped in the energy. And so, yeah, that's why, this dark energy tries to distract you, because it keeps you in their field of energy. And so, and if you want to break out of that field of energy, then you have to, go deeper. You have to go against what they tell you. You have to see, you have to, I don't know, recognize liars be lying. So and I don't know. I don't know, because my communication started when I was so young. And so I don't know, to me, it's like, it seems like, we've all had this, knocking at your door, but a lot of people just ignore it. And maybe it's because they get too caught up in thinking, well, I'm crazy if I'm talking to myself, well, that doesn't make any sense. And so they go more in the three-dimensional perspective, rather than find comfort in, the information that they receive when they're talking to themselves. So I don't know. But this, one lady who I had seen this morning, who is a spiritual, person, she's always out saying things. I'm not sure what else she says. I just see her sometimes. And, she was saying about the internet, and that they needed the internet for their world, that they were, whatever they were doing. And that, they knew that once the internet had gone, that we would all start to connect with one another. Just on this whole fucking thing with the different years in time. I just am so tripped about that. Like, how is it, 26, the year 2649 someplace, and like, it is wild. And then 1947 somewhere else, and then 114 somewhere else, and then it's like, it's wild. So anyways, so the internet, they knew that it was going to bring us together, that we would, yeah, and they always had the looking glass and stuff. They always knew certain things, so they knew that we would start finding each other. And she's like, so why would they do that when they knew it was going to benefit us? Then they knew it was like a time thing, that they were working against time, because what they were trying to accomplish in us coming together, which they know all this stuff ahead of time. So, but to me, when I heard her saying that, I was like, yeah, but look at how the big pickup on trying to take people out. I think that was their solution. It was like, well, they were going to just work on the sickness and getting people sick and destroying, to me, it's like they've been wiping people out left and right. So I don't know. To me, it's like, I don't know. I mean, they've been working hard on doing us all in. And, which I've seen a bunch of things with the volcanoes and the earthquakes and stuff. So I saw things saying that they were saying that the earthquake was going to start around Seattle and Portland area. So the big one's going to start there, and that's going to be the what fault line? Fault line. That fault line is going to cause the other fault line to hit the San Andreas going down into California, which there's already parts of California that are sinking and going down. And then I think there's another place too. Maybe it's in Oregon, but they're finding that there's a part that is sinking. And but in California, it's happening too. And so they're saying that that it's going to hit first by Seattle, and then it's going to spark this other reaction that's going to go down to California. It's going to all happen real fast, and then that's going to spark that other one. It's going to be like bad when this whatever happens, and there's so much leading up to it right now. And there's another volcano too that is in Oregon that is like covered up, I think it is, or something. There's something that it seems that, and maybe it's the place where they're talking about it's lowering down, but they're finding like this, it's going to be like this dormant earthquake or volcano that's going to go or something. I don't know. I know that I don't know all the different things that are going to occur, but I know that this is a part of it. It's a part of this ending is this natural, it's like a natural realigning the landscape is going to change. So it's that's what there's going to be so much of it's like a flipping of the landscape. So all these places that are highly populated are going to, be washed away. They're going to go away because we're starting a new one. It's like the game board is done. It's going to go, and then they're going to start a new game. And it seems so sad and tragic, but that's the thing is we all come in here knowing what we're coming in for, even though we can't remember. But that's the thing also, is when you start connecting to your higher self, it will remind you. And so many people, you can see clearly around us that are not connecting to their higher selves, are not connecting into their spirit. They're just playing the game in fear. And then just so many people just trying to continue life as it was. Just keep it going the way it's always been. It's like, yeah, but things aren't the same as it's always been. We're in a time of change. We're in a time of an ending. And an ending brings a beginning. That's the whole thing. Is like, it's not just like it's over. And no, it has to end so that we can start something new. And it's time for something new. And this time is run out. And so they, the beings of this realm or whatever, the darker entities, the darker energies that, I don't know, some of them could be, trying to take off on their ships and go someplace else because they know this one's going to end. But there's definitely going to be a dramatic ending. There's going to be a definitely a bunch of people who are going to, because of their choices that they had made here. But see, that's also, a positive really in the soul's journey, because there's a consequence that will that they have to kind of face, so that helps them to be able to grow past, get out of the dark energy that they're entangled in. Because some of the stuff that these people do in the dark is, they just don't realize like what karma really is all about. It's like what you put out into the world comes back to you. So when you are going and you are, killing somebody, then that is going to come back to you. That they will play back. It will play back on you. And it's not something, it's like a, when you consider a punishment, it's like a punishment, but it's not, it's just the way the energy works. It's not like that there's somebody up there in the sky who is like, oh, well, they'll be punished. We'll make sure of that. No, it's just how energy works. It's what you put out comes back to you. And so there's so many people who have no depth to their understanding of spiritual that they don't realize what they're doing, and the importance of shifting out of it. And then the entanglements that you find yourself, it's like a web of entanglements in these toxic relationships, and how you have to break free in order to move out of that karmic kind of control over your existence, so you can break out of it. And it has a lot to do with forgiveness, and like that one girl was saying, seeing that they're injured too, like don't hold on to revenge and resentment are the dark. Yeah, that will keep you trapped in the dark. And so many people get caught up in that, this revenge and stuff. Oh, I watched this movie the other day. It was very intriguing. Like, it was very, so it had John Larroquette, and I can't remember who all the people were, but he was the killer in this. And so how it starts is a guy's getting home from work. He goes in, and his wife's all hanging on him. Oh, so happy to see him, kissing him and everything. She goes in to get dinner ready, and somebody comes to the door. And so he goes and answers the door, and he meets like 5 or 6 unloaded into him. And he falls to the ground, and then the guy, John Larroquette, sits down on the porch and just sits there. And there happened to be a guy walking by at the time who was coming home from the grocery store, and he was a witness to the whole thing. So Larroquette just sits down on the porch, and he's all just spent. And so Martha Plimpton, Plimpton, I think. She's one of the attorneys. Oh, Beau Bridges is one of the attorneys. And another guy, I can't remember his name. There's a lot of famous people in this movie. And so they're going to be the attorney for this guy. And he's just like, I did it. I did it. I'm glad I did it. I'll do it again. And so you're thinking, like, there had to be something that this guy did to him. And so anyways, they start doing all this investigation and stuff. And so the guy who he had unloaded on, he was just released, and released right back into the same neighborhood. And he was supposed to get like 25 years, but they reduced, they always are making deals for, I don't know, if you're a perv, like, yeah, they just give you deals, because they're all a bunch of pervs that are running this place. So he had John's daughter when she was 8. Each orphan, every hole, he covered them all. And she was 8 years old, and she was nabbed in order for him to do this. And so she was traumatized. So she fell apart, and John's wife had already died of the sea. And so he had 2 daughters now. And this assault on the one who was 8 years old. But at the time she was 11, she was being promiscuous. She was out of control. She was suicidal. She was constantly trying to kill herself. It was like she was a mess. She ended up being in a facility. And so now she's 14 and she's in a facility. His other daughter she was so frustrated with the whole situation. She was not seen or anything. And dad was always angry and very focused on revenge. And so she ran away from home at like 16 or something, and went off to become a musician or something. And so he when the guy got out and he was right in the same neighborhood, John was like, that's it. And so he went and, and there was just a recent thing of his daughter trying to do herself in again or something. It was a catalyst moment that really pushed him over the edge. And so he went and did this. So in the courtroom drama, his the widow of the guy who was unloaded on, she is, oh, she's pissed. She wants revenge, boy. And she's so pissed, and they keep bringing up, what a monster her husband was. He didn't just do one kid. And so she is so irate, and she's like, he changed, he paid his debt to society, and he changed. Well, that didn't really stop the aftermath of what the problems he caused. And so then she starts saying, well, the same thing happened to him when he was a kid. And so it was just like this repeating cycle that just kept going of these traumas and these getting revenge, traumas and getting revenge and traumas, and it just kept going and going and going. It was really interesting how they had showed all that. It ended up that the jury couldn't convict him for what he had done, and so they convicted him for having a weapon, but they said no. They hung on the charges of murder, and then the lawyers for him said, they went to the DA and they said, you charge him again, we're going to keep this going because this isn't right, and there's no right or wrong in all this. This is the biggest freaking mess with all of this this suffering and stuff. This has got to, we gotta stop. And so anyways, the DA decided not to charge again and just let him have and then the judge was really irate about it. The judge was like, especially when you watch this and you know about what the judicial really is and stuff, this judge was just really irritating me. I was like thinking, like, what the perv you got going on, dude? And so anyways, and we let these people make our decisions about our lives and stuff. And I just saw this video too yesterday of this girl, another one of these ones that was in prison. There's the one girl who talks about when she was in prison, and then she was in prison for robbery and she got 9 years. And this other girl came in who was involved in a really heinous crime of murder. And she got out of making a deal. And she got less time than the girl for robbery. And so this girl has done videos talking about how heinous this girl's crime is and what bullshit the system is and all that stuff. So there's another one I saw yesterday. And she was in prison, and she was saying, these are just 3 of the really bad ones that I was in prison with. And one of them was a mom who she did in her 4-year-old. Then another one, the next one was a girl who killed each of her sons at different times when they were little. And it all happened within a 13-month period. But the husband gave too much attention to the sons, and she didn't like it, so she just decided to smother them. And so then she finally got caught on the 3rd one. And so she got 3 life sentences. The other lady, she got a death penalty, but then they reduced it to life without parole. Then this lady, she got 3 life sentences. Then the other one, the other girl who she was in jail with, was the one who left her baby while she went on vacation. And so, that was such a sensational crime. Like, most of us all heard about that one. And she said that, so I guess that she knew more. I don't know. I didn't know, like, that the baby was 13 pounds. She was 16 months old and she weighed 13 pounds. And that she had lost 7 pounds from her last checkup. And that the lady who had left her in her little bassinet, not a bassinet, the play and go thing. So kind of like, not a crib, but what were those things called? Anyways, like a little baby play yard thing. And so, and the neighbors all heard her screaming for days. I don't know why nobody would break into there. Why nobody called on a welfare check? Why not? I mean, to me, it's like not just this mom failed, but the whole community, everybody who listened to that baby cry is like, I don't know. It's like everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, but everybody's got to see the part they played, and question themselves, like, you know. So, anyways, but she said how she was in with that lady too, and that lady was very didn't. She said it's way different too in the women's prison, that women don't, just because you have killed your kids, and they don't have the same reaction. In the men's prison, you do something to a kid, you may as well just figure, well, you're a goner. That but I swear, when I worked at the prison, I only worked there a week or two. I didn't work there very long, because the one guy started writing me letters, and I just wrote a letter back. It was my big mistake. I wrote a letter back. I said, I'm married, just leave me alone, whatever. And but you're supposed to tell as soon as they do anything like that. And he was because I worked in the hospital, and so he was the guy who went around fixing the beds and all of that stuff. And so I thought, he must be like kind of a good guy. No, he was bad, because he ended up, because I lost the job because I didn't, he wrote again, and that's when I told another nurse, but I was supposed to go and tell the guards on him. And then as soon as they did find out, he went straight into isolation, and then he got moved to another prison, and I got fired for not telling. But I told another nurse, I said, this guy's making me nervous. He keeps writing me. And so she went and told the guards, and then I got pulled in, and but then later I got pulled in by the DA's office, because he continued being, the whole time when he was in prison, he continued being a predator. And I wasn't the only person he preyed on. There was other ones. And so he was getting more time. The DA was going after him for more time because he continued his predatory behavior even when he was in prison. And so I had to go in and do a deposition to say about what happened to me. And then I had a whole thing where I was getting called into the court, where I was going to face him. And the thing is too, is these guys, they'll be like so nice, it makes you feel kind of bad for them, but they aren't nice at all. They're predators. And he but I think he got his sentence. They didn't have to do all the court things, so I didn't have to go. But I had gotten the thing, this is gonna be the day you're gonna come and stuff. But then I didn't get called in, thank God. And but yeah, he got more time added on because of that. I think he was preyed upon like in every woman that he came across in prison. And so, like, counselors and all that stuff. So anyways, that was my prison story. But there was one guy he was this really old guy too. And they said when we were there, they said, don't look up what somebody did. Don't ever look it up. And so this guy was always so nice. He was always so nice. And he was, I think he was diabetic. And so I had to interact with him a bunch of times. I think give him his insulin or something. And he always was nice and friendly and stuff like that. So I made the mistake of looking it up and seeing what did he do. And his was, I think he did do something horrible to a kid. And seems like it was more than that, though. He was bad. He was really, really bad. And then it's just like freaky too, because then it's like, ooh, I have to interact with him. He's so, and then, the whole idea of prison is like it's reforming them, but I don't know. I don't know that it really reforms criminals. I think that a lot of times it even adds into their lack of compassion and lack of empathy, and that they just, something gets broken in a lot of people. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think that this system, they created, because I see it all over the place, this creating criminals. They want to create criminals all the time. And is it poverty is about creating criminals? And so, but that's the thing is like, you always got to stand by your integrity. Don't let them make you something that you're not, because that's what they're trying to do, is make you into something that you're not. And I did see this other video too of this girl, and she said that they had got invited to Halloween party, and she said it was adults only, no kids. And so she was all excited. She thought, oh, this is gonna be so fun, you know, grown up party, you know, everybody's gonna be all dressed up and all this stuff. Well, it ends up that it was like a swingers thing, and this old weird thing comes out. She said that, so they're all sitting there, you know, having a good time, drinking, having a good time, and all of a sudden this guy comes out and he's just got his mask on and he's totally naked. And then this girl drops down to her knees and goes to town, and then he can't complete. And so she gets up and leaves or runs out or something. And then he walks over to some guy and grabs some guy and pulls some guy, and they go off into the room. And then that's when the girl said that her and her husband like look at each other and like, okay, we came to the wrong party. Let's go. Let's get the hell out of here. But yeah, that is I don't know. This you just you can't just watch out. You just don't ever know what's going on out there. It's like the world is gone. It's so dark, and everybody is so. It's like it's trying to like feed this insatiable part of themselves. They're trying to like when really the way to feed it is through like integrity and love and compassion. And it's like these things that have been broken in other people, and they're trying to feed this insatiable urge inside of them by going darker and darker and darker. And that is only going to make you go darker and darker and darker, because even if you find some kind of an excitement or some kind of thing that is short-lived, it's just like a drug addict who has to do more and more drugs in order to get high. And you have to do more and more pervy things. You have to go darker and darker and darker to feel. And so you want to take an abrupt right and go the other direction and start, you know, pulling yourself out from this feeling like that is the thing you're looking for. It is, you know, I don't know, some spectacular orgasm and some perverted kind of thing going on. I don't know. We got so much darkness here that's surrounding us. And that's why, you know, it's time's up. It's like it's over. It's like, how much further could it go? And so, but the people who are here to not be a part of the dark and to pull up free and go towards the light, that's the beginning of the new reality being built. But you can see, like, there's so many people who are stuck in the dark, and that's the thing, is they're going to keep themselves stuck. And that's the thing that I find frustrating, when these people don't you know, like, they don't talk about what's real. And because what's real is your spiritual journey. That's what's real, is your soul. That's what's real. And even when I talk to people who are religious, well, you have this vague concept of a soul. No, you are a soul. You are a soul. None of this is real. This is, you're definitely in a false reality. And you're in a false reality to experience, you know, whatever, all the stuff that goes on in this reality, and then who you are in this reality. And it's always opportunities to get yourself out of the karma that you have created at some point in time, and to pull yourself free from all these entanglements. But so many people are just not, they're just lost. We're in a world of people lost in the dark. But the light's not giving up. The light's going to come in harsher and brighter and bigger and more. But still, I mean, I can't even believe how many videos I still see, like, you know, Donald's the enemy. Donald's, he's going into hiding. Donald's going to be dead in a week. Donald's this, Donald's that. It's like, I don't know. So anyways, we'll see. Now we got so today's Saturday, so it's the 29th, so tomorrow's the 30th, And then December 1st, Monday, December 2nd, Tuesday. So Tuesday is supposed to be this big thing on the money situation with Iran. Is that something with the dinar or something, which was a big part of this whole thing. Is that when Charlie was talking about all the way back, I never even heard of dinar. Back in 2020, he said, when the dinar thing goes, then that is going to be a big thing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what's next, what's up. But there is, there's lots of craziness and lots of people just lost in the whole fucking thing. And so, I don't know. I think, there's only so far, like, how much do you have to pay attention to the corruption that's going on? It's like, yeah, there's a lot of corruption. And I don't know. I guess if it really hurts your feelings to be lied to, but you got to get over it. You got to let it go and move towards yourself. That is the biggest thing. Is that people are wasting time focusing on, Donald, or focusing on JD, or focusing on whoever, whatever, when you need to be focusing on yourself and what it is that you're here to grow and what you're here to learn and how you're here to expand, so you can pull yourself free from this dark reality that we are in. So anyways, that's how I look at it. So everybody gets to look at it however they want to look at it. You're programmed into how you're going to look at it anyways. So it's going to be, you're going to see it the way you see it. But that's how I see it. And so I find it important to focus on yourself and focusing on how to love yourself and how to let go of all of these parts of yourself that have been in the dark, and hold on to the dark and stuff, and to process your way through that. Because when you start encountering yourself and you start trying to move up the chakra system, that is when you will find all the guilt and shame, and you'll find yourself getting really mad at yourself, and like, how could you be so stupid? Why would you do that? And then that's when you got to forgive yourself, and you got to look at the bigger scheme of things and move out of that energy. You can't hold on to resentment of yourself and hating yourself. That's going to hold you back. So you got to learn how to love yourself, and got to learn how to love everybody else, because that's the world that we're going into, is a world of love and appreciation and compassion and empathy, and it's like a unified consciousness of acceptance and being there for one another, instead of this dog-eat-dog world that has been created. We got to break free from that. So you got to learn how to love yourself. You got to learn how to love everybody. And you got to learn how to have the day you want to have, because it does have to do with how you look at things. There's all these things you can be looking at. And so when you're just focused on the hate and anger and division, and it's these people's fault, it's these people's fault, that's gonna get you nowhere. It's gonna keep you stuck. That's what it's gonna do. It's gonna keep you stuck. So anyways, we'll see what this day brings us, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.